Alright, so I want to teach you guys how to do this week's quiz, which is a skills quiz, which means I want you to show me that you have attained one of the important skills that we need to do your logo, actually. So what I want you to do is write on paper with a marker. Marker will be easier, or something thick. Your name in cursive, and the cursive part is just to make it easier for you, although I think mine is kind of a combination of a little cursive and a little bit of printing. And once you have done that, take a picture of it, bring it onto your desktop, and then just drag it onto an artboard in Illustrator. And I'm going to put my signature on one layer and then put a layer on top of it where I will trace. And the reason that I like to create a couple layers, and I think you've kind of gathered this from your videos, is so that I can lock my bottom layer and write on my top layer without sort of always moving this around or anything like that. So I'm going to name this signature and create a new layer on top of it, and I will call that tracing. And then I will lock this one so that I can't move it anymore, even if I'm on it, and it won't move around. And then I want you to go to your pen tool, and the quick keystroke for that is just hitting P on the keyboard. And some of you might want to use things like the curvature tool, or well, those are the main ones, the pen tool and possibly the curvature tool for this. And then you might go back and use some of the tools underneath the pen tool, the ink point tool, to make some modifications. But the idea here is that I want to see that you've mastered the pen tool, because it's very important. It's really the most foundational tool in Illustrator. Don't use the brush, don't use the pencil, don't use the blob brush. The idea here is that I want you to know how to use the pen tool. And once you've done this, it's really important that you have no fill. So select the no smoking sign, as I always call it, no fill. And if your name is written in black, which it probably will be, choose a totally different color for tracing. So I'll do red for now. And that will allow me to see my line, to tell which line is mine and which line is the original signature. Now, you don't have to do this absolutely perfectly, but pretty close. So let me demonstrate, and you already watched the Linda videos, hopefully, how to use this pen tool, but let me do my own demo. So the idea is I just clicked and I let go. I'm no longer holding the mouse down. Which is counterintuitive to the way that we are typically used to drawing. We're used to kind of holding down the mouse and scribbling, right? This is more one step at a time, I guess, and a little, again, less intuitive. It's not what you're used to. So I see a small curve here. It's not a perfectly straight line, as you see. So I'm going to go ahead and click at the end and hold. So I've got my mouse held down, and then you get these are called Bezier handles, these handles here. And it's really easy to kind of go nuts and say, what the heck's going on? So treat these Bezier handles gingerly, and you can modify them later. Okay, and then I'm just going to let go, and again, that's not perfect, but pretty good. And to make this so I'm closing my line, I'm going to click on Shift and Command and A all at the same time. And that lets me start a new line. Later in the semester, we'll learn about making lines that kind of have this thickness to thinness going on. But for now, I'm just getting the basic shape. So again, I see actually, in this case, I see a curve this way and then a little curve this way. So we're going to do a couple of clicks. I'm going to go ahead and click here where one curve ends and the other curve begins, and hold. and then stretch to get those Bezier handles, treating them very gingerly. And then sometimes you can just click again, and Illustrator does a really good job of guessing your next curve. That's not always the case, and when it's not, I'll show you how to remedy that. So again, Command-Shift-A here. I have my T, and I can hide the signature layer and see what it looks like. All right, so I'll go on to my A. So usually, how do you know when to do your next click and hold? Your first click is always just a click and let go. Your second click is always a click and hold. It's basically when one curve kind of completes its arc. And it's a guessing game and just a practice thing. You really need to practice this to get used to it. So I'm saying right about there, I can see where that arc is complete. You'll see I'm pulling out much more because it's a sharper curve. Now here's a case where Illustrator is not doing the best job of guessing what that next curve looks like. And in that case, what I do is I click on my last anchor point, and that lets me do my own rather than having Illustrator guess for me. Okay. Same here, it's not guessing for me. You can see that preview line. It thinks that I want to go this way, but I don't. So I'm going to click and then click and hold and stretch. Here again, Illustrator is not guessing well for me. It usually doesn't actually. So I'm going to click on my last anchor point, not the handles, the anchor point, and start my next curve. This time it did a good job, look at that. So I'm going to click and hold, and just tiny little bit of Bezier handles there because it's just a very short and steep curve. Click, hold, and pull. Click on my last anchor point. It's kind of a funny little, I got a weird signature, let's just say that. Okay, and then rather than going back around here, I'm going to go ahead and end this line, Command-Shift-A, and take my pen tool and start a new curve. I clicked once and let go, and then I clicked and held and pulled, clicking on that last anchor point. And I think I can do this whole remaining curve just like so. And Command-Shift-A. And there it is. It's a little chunky in some spots. I especially see right here. And that's probably because I remember I had gone back and clicked on that anchor point. And so I only have one Bezier handle. So I have a curve on this side and not on this side. It's controlled by this Bezier handle instead. So if I really wanted to smooth that out nicely, I could do it a couple of ways. The easiest way is to click on this little fella here. And that just smooths it out. Actually, I'm going to undo Command-Z and do it a little more smoothly. I don't really like the result it gave me there, so I'm going to undo that and show you the other way. Let's hide that again. Which is, use your direct selection tool, that is the white arrow tool, and click on your path, and then click and hold on that direct selection tool, click and hold on your pen tool, and go to the anchor point tool. Looks like an upside down V. And this is a converter tool, so it's going to take curves and turn them into angles, or it's going to take angles and turn them into curves. If I click once, it makes it an angle. That's not what I want. If I click and pull, it's going to give me two fresh new Bezier handles, one on each side of this anchor point. So I clicked and I'm still holding. I'm going to pull. So I got one curve that looks really good on top there and one that went wonky. That's because this Bezier handle controls this curve and this Bezier handle controls this curve. So I need to adjust this Bezier handle, and again we're going to use the direct selection tool for that. I'm going to grab onto the end of this side of my handle and just pull it back in. Actually, I'm going to put this on view again so I can see if I'm on the right track. Good. And at this point, it can get a little tedious going in and making all these little adjustments. And I want to tell you, I will be teaching you some ways to make this easier and kind of, I guess, cheat a little bit later in the semester, but I want to have this foundational tool pretty well understood at this point. So again, I see another chunkiness here. You don't need to get too nitpicky on these things. Do your best to make it as smooth as you can. But the important thing is that we're practicing that pen tool. And then if you want, you can have fun with it, apply brushes or colors or strokes. But really, I just need this from you. Now here's the thing. You guys could easily, I don't think any of you would ever try to get away with this, but you could go in with the brush tool and do this. If you have a steady hand. And I would never know because I go in there and I see anchor points and paths. So let's not do that. So what I need is a 1 minute screen recording, 1 to 2 if you need 2, of me just seeing you do a little bit of this. The screen recorder that I am using now and that I've been using, and that's free and works well, is called Screencast-O-Matic. So 1 minute is better than 2 minutes just because it will upload more quickly. And I'm going to ask you to upload your screen recording using OneDrive. And there are instructions for that, but I will go ahead and put those with the async materials. And once you have uploaded it to OneDrive, you will get a link. And the link is what I need you to turn into the assignments folder. So, tedious, but again, just so incredibly important to learn. I also think that the Pathfinder is very important to learn. So even though I'm not going to make you do it right now, we'll probably do an exercise at some point with that. I guess I'm wanting to say any questions, but I can't answer those right now. But do reach out with questions. Good luck and have fun practicing. This is definitely one of those tools where practice does make perfect. So practice, practice, and I hope you are able to master the pen tool. Good luck.